Hi everybody, it's Mio and today I'm so excited to show you how to crochet these adorable little sushi. Here I've created 4 different types, one with the shrimp on top, one with tuna, one with salmon, and the egg with the seaweed wrap. These characters are very easy to make, but they do take some time. This video is a little bit longer than my usual videos because I wanted to make sure that you guys are able to follow directions on how to crochet if you don't know already. If you like this video, please subscribe and give me a thumbs up. And of course, you can follow me on Instagram. My username is FlyingMio. And let's get this tutorial started. For this project, you're going to need a crochet needle. I'm using a 3.5 and some yarn. To start off, you're going to place your needle underneath the yarn, grab onto it, and take the needle underneath the yarn and pull through your first loop. And this will make 1 knot. Do the same thing, go underneath the yarn and pull through. And when you tighten the yarn, you have your first single loop. To start this project, you're going to form several chains. To do this, all you're doing is taking your crochet needle, put it underneath the yarn, and pull through your loops. You're going to do this about 7 times, and you'll see that you have a nice little braid. You're going to form your first crochet knot, so take your crochet needle and place it through the second chain. Once you have it through, take some yarn and pull this yarn through the chain, and you're going to take some more yarn and pull through the 2 loops you see on my needle. That is how you form a crochet knot. That's very simple. Now to repeat this process, I'm going to go to the 3rd chain. Again, take some yarn, pull through, and you'll see 2 loops on my crochet needle. Take some more yarn, pull through both circles, and you have your 2nd crochet knot. You're going to repeat this process 1 for 1 for the first entire row, which means your first crochet line should have 6 knots. Now that you completed your first row, you're going to turn this into an oval. Create a simple chain, and then you're going to form a simple knot. So put your needle through the chain, pull some string through the chain, and then get some more string and pull through the 2 loops on your crochet needle to form a single knot. Now instead of advancing, you're going to put your needle through the exact same loop you did earlier and form another knot. That means you're going to have 2 knots under 1 chain. Now go through your next chain and you're going to do the same thing. Put 2 knots under 1 chain. This helps expand the side of your oval so that when you reach the horizontal part, you can start doing 1 for 1 again. That means for each knot, you're going to put 1 knot instead of 2. And only on the edges are you going to put 2 knots per chain, and that will help expand the sides so your little piece can start turning and turn into a more rounder oval-like shape. If you're very new to crocheting, this will seem like a lot of steps and it seems like it's going by very fast, but trust me, with time, your fingers and your hands will kind of get in the habit of how things are supposed to go, and it'll become faster and easier. Just continue expanding your oval until you have something much larger like you see here. Once you reach 4 rows of simple knots, you're going to stop expanding. So for each knot, you're only going to put 1 knot per 1 knot. And as you can see, the edges will start to fold on each other because you're no longer expanding. I formed 2 rows where I don't expand at all. As you can see, the edges are really curving inward to form a bowl-like shape. Now to make the piece smaller, instead of continuing the 1-to-1, I'm going to start skipping loops. So as you can see, I didn't put my crochet needle through the next loop, I skipped it. So I put it through the next one and continued to crochet as usual. And I skipped a knot about once every 3 or 4 knots until you got a really smaller opening, and you're going to stuff this with some stuffing. I know my stuffing is dark, but just stuff it with whatever you have and go ahead and crochet it until it's all closed. Once you reach a point where you can no longer crochet, just pull your yarn through the loop, and when you tighten it, it forms a knot, and you can stuff the extra yarn into your piece. You should now have a simple rice ball to start decorating. I'm going to start off by showing you how to create the shrimp one. So I'm going to crochet 1 line of about 6 knots, as you see here, and that's how I started off my rice ball. And I'm going to cut off the extra yarn, leaving about 1 inch at the edge, and I'm going to tie it and knot it with some orange yarn. What I want to do is I want the 2nd row to be completely orange. So once you've knotted this off, you're going to crochet this like as usual, as if this is 1 long piece of yarn, but really it's going to start changing colors the moment I hit the 2nd row. and continue to crochet like you normally would. Once you've completed this whole row of orange, you're going to switch the colors again just by cutting off the extra side, knotting it with white, and you're going to crochet as usual and you'll have a row of white. You're going to continue alternating all of these colors until you get what looks like a stripe of orange and white sheet of yarn. I know there's a lot of extra yarn on the sides, but don't worry, we'll take care of it. Just make sure your final row of yarn is actually red in color. Once you completed the row, you're going to form several chains. I actually chained the yarn about 10 times, and you're going to make the loop that's going to form the bottom part of the shrimp tail. So once you have about 10 to 12, you're going to place the crochet needle at the third knot away from your initial part where you started chaining and tie a knot there. Crochet some more. I made the second loop a little bit longer, so it's about 12 to 14 chains. You're going to crochet it into, again, the third knot over. Again, form several chains and several loops. I have 4 loops on my shrimp tail. I also placed a red piece of yarn down the center to help cut my shrimp in half and make it look more realistic. Now I'm using a hot glue gun, but you can use regular glue if you want. And what I'm doing is putting a little bit of glue down the sides, and I'm gluing down the knots to help hide them underneath the shrimp. And this is what my shrimp will look like. And to form a little bit of curvature at the end, I also hot glued the bottom corners a little bit so it looks more like a triangle. For the face, you're going to need some animal eyes, and you're going to position them on the center lower part of the rice ball, and you're going to need some sewing string to help sew on a face. Now you can use whatever materials you want. You can use some clay for the eyes, you can cut out some felt for the face. I just think that sewing on a face is very clean and simple, and of course you can create whatever type of face you want. I also gave some of my Sushi some whiskers because I think it looks really cute that way. Just make sure you hide all the knots on the top or bottom. Now you can hot glue on the top of your sushi. So I'm taking my piece of shrimp and I'm putting some hot glue on the very top, on the sides, and on the very bottom of the shrimp to make sure it stays really nice and well put on the rice ball. So that's how I made my shrimp sushi, which I think is the hardest one to make. Let's move on to the salmon one. For the salmon, I'm just crocheting the oval that I did for the rice ball. And once you have 3 rows of the knots, you can stop. Now for the 4th row, what I'm going to do is place my crochet needle not underneath the actual chain itself. I'm actually only going to put it in the back loop of the chain. And I'm going to crochet a regular shape knot. I'm not going to do any more expansions. Everything's going to be 1 to 1. So again, instead of doing the 2 chains, I'm only going to pick the back loop. And what you do is when you only use the back loop, it's going to form a sharp 90-degree angle turn. So instead of having a nice curvature, it's going to form what looks like a really sharp edge on your salmon. This is my salmon after 1 row, and this is the salmon after 2 rows. So I'm pretty much done here. It looks almost like a little hat. And what I'm going to do is form some white lines diagonally across the salmon, and this makes it look a little more like salmon, but it's completely up to you if you don't like it. I'm just using my crochet needle to help pull through some white yarn and tying some basic knots. It's nothing really fancy at all. The key to making a really good looking sliced piece of salmon is to make sure all your white lines are evenly spaced apart and parallel to one another. Once you're happy with how your salmon looks, you can position it on top of your rice ball and continue on with the face. Now I'm going to make the egg one, which is exactly like the salmon. I'm just going to crochet the regular oval, and after I have 3 rows, I'm going to turn at 90-degree angles and form 2 extra rows. And what you're going to have is pretty much a yellow cap, just like the salmon. And again, you can position this on top of the rice ball. Now, all of the egg sushis I eat always have a seaweed wrap around it, so I'm just crocheting a long chain of dark green yarn into what looks like a long string of seaweed, and you're going to wrap this around the center of the body. You can tie this into a knot down to hold on to the body of the sushi, or you can hot glue it. And of course the last one is just the regular tuna. All I did was crochet a little red cap and just place it on top of the rice ball. And that is how I made all of my sushi characters. I know it might seem really intimidating at first if you're brand new to crocheting, but they're actually pretty easy to do. I hope you guys find this tutorial really self-explanatory and easy to follow along. If not, I'm so sorry. Crocheting is actually very difficult to explain and actually pretty difficult to film and edit. But if for whatever reason you have a really hard time following this video, there's a lot of places online that show you how to go through it one by one. So if you like this video, please subscribe and give me a thumbs up, and do follow me on Instagram to give some sneak peeks as to upcoming videos. And thanks for watching, everyone. Good luck and happy crafting.